some of the biggest challenges that you've seen people have with leadership at work?
Well, I think I'll start by going back to what I said earlier. They're not trained on the skills and attributes that a leader needs to have. When you move into a leadership role, as I just quoted Simon Sinek about now being responsible for the people who do the work, that means you have to really take on a new identity. You have to think of yourself in a different way. You have to think of the people that you're now leading in a different way. And that's a huge mindset shift. And that's a big challenge. That's a big challenge because oftentimes you've been promoted, so you've been rewarded for the good work that you have been doing. And yet your new work as a leader is completely different. So in some ways, you really do need to go back to school. And some people find going back to school is kind of moving backwards. But in order to be good at being a leader, you do have to learn how to do it and learn how to do it well. So that's one of the big challenges. Another one, as I mentioned before, is the belief that you have to have all the answers, which leads, as it did for me in my career, that didn't go so well at one time, which can lead to perfectionism, which then leads to not wanting to do anything, stalling out. Or in my case, perfectionism for me led to kind of a my way or the highway attitude. I'm supposed to know it all, so I do know it all, so you better do it my way. And if you don't, I'm going to be upset with you. And you fall into this cycle without even really realizing you're getting into it. So that's another big, big challenge. And then I think another one is, how do you as a leader mesh with the culture of the organization you're with? I had a client one time that was actually, the organization hired me because she wasn't doing so well, but she had experienced years and years of experience in the role that she had in the organization. And she was hired to lead, this group of people in her organization. What it turned out, though, is that she was from the Northeast of the United States and she came to a Southern company. Very different cultures, In the Northeast, they pretty much speak their mind. In the South, they're like, "Oh, you can't say that."
Mhm.
And what ended up happening is she ended up leaving the organization. And one of the questions I asked her as a coach was, after, talking about what was going on, was, "And why do you want to continue to work for this organization?" And she told me later that that was the defining question for her, because it allowed her to say, "This is not the place for me." And she was able to move on.
To your point about the coaching style of leadership and asking, those thought-provoking questions, I agree. I think that was a very powerful question for your client.